Good morning and thank you for joining me again on my electrified journey around Europe. Plan for today is hopefully some hiking on Senja and then continuing on my way south towards Narvik and the Lofoten Islands. Since I used quite a bit of energy from my car yesterday charging all my equipment, first order of the day shall be adding a few kilowatt hours to the battery. On the way to Senja there is a Kopler charging station in Finnsnes, 22 kilometers from the campground. Because it wasn't the cheapest station, I only charged 16 kilowatt hours, which got the battery from 40 to 60%. Following that, I got on my way to the trailhead. Ingrid, the owner of the campground, lent me this fantastic book with a lot of trails in it, and I had spotted one that looked cool and wasn't too long. Weather today isn't great, and just how not so great it really was, I found out at the trailhead. I was basically in the clouds and it was very windy. So I walked a few hundred meters up the trail and, turned around. I could make out the summit I wanted to get to, but I did not have the clothes needed for such an endeavor. 13 degrees, drizzling rain and strong wind? Not today. So I decided to get back on the road and check out a museum in Narvik. When I looked for interesting places to visit, I had seen this old museum building and was curious to find out what's inside. The building used to be the National Railway Company's administrative building. Before I got there, I stopped at Setermoen to properly charge the car, as there is an Ionity charging station there. 66 kilowatt hours and battery from 16 to 100%, and I was on the road again. Briefly. After 22 kilometers, I saw a sign. No, neither in the biblical sense, nor in that of Ace of Base. This sign pointed to the pretty Bardu Waterfall, and that was reachable via a short hike through the forest. A few kilometers later, and I stopped again. This time at Lapphaugen, where there was a World War II memorial in honor of the 6th Norwegian Division and local forces that had made a stand against the Germans here. Today, luckily, the Germans arrive with RVs, caravans or tents, which makes it all so much more peaceful and acceptable. From there, I continued on to Narvik across the magnificent Hålogaland Bridge, a road toll applies, to the Narvik Museum. As I walked up to the museum, I saw that it was about Norway's railways. But not just that. It was about the electrification of Norway's railways. Specifically, the Ofoten Line. This railway line connects Kiruna in Sweden with the ice-free harbor of Narvik, while the Norwegian part of the line is called Ofotenbanen. The Swedish side is known as Å Line, which connects also Kiruna with the Swedish port of Luleå. And while the Å Line, i.e. the Swedish section, had already been electrified in 1915, the Norwegian side was still serviced by steam trains. And that meant that the iron ore from Sweden had to be switched from electric trains to steam trains at the border, creating significant inefficiencies. Middle of 1923, Norway had finally completed electrification of the Ofotenbanen, resulting in smooth transport of iron ore from Kiruna to Narvik. Following this, the Narvik-Luleå line was also opened in 1923, and it was the longest electrified railway line in Europe at the time. In order to literally power the Ofoten Line, Norway had to purchase electricity from Sweden. Industrialization and increased residential power consumption had already sparked a greater focus on power generation in Norway in the 1920s. However, it took until 1932 that the Ofoten Line could be switched to Norwegian power generated by Nygard power station at Treldal. This power station comprises of 7 water reservoirs and 18 dams, plus a whopping 7 kilometers of tunnels. Back to trains. 6 electric locomotives operated the line, but these could not be delivered until 1924, 1 year later. Hence Norway had to borrow 6 locomotives from Sweden until then. One of these old iron ore locomotives can be admired behind the museum. If you go inside, preferably do not wear white clothes, and tight fit is preferred. You've got to suck it in when you want to squeeze yourself through the narrow doors inside the choo-choo. It is a really interesting exhibition and well worth the visit and the 110 Norwegian crowns admission fee. Most of the information you've just been listening to came from the museum's own website, and the link is in the description. A very good read. After this really interesting time at the museum, I left Narvik the same way I entered it, across a toll bridge in the north. Because, well, I wanted to go to the Lapphaugen Islands next. The initial idea was to stay at Bjerkvik campground because it was close and on the way. However, I didn't like it and hence carried on driving until I came to Evenes and the Evenes campground, which is close to the town's airport. It's a small and not very busy airport, so the night was quiet. And this is the end of yet another day where one thing didn't work out and another turned out way better than anticipated. For today, let's have a look at the map and driving data. I left Krokstadtunet campground at 8 in the morning and drove the 27 kilometers to Finnsnes to charge the car's battery from 40 to 60%, giving it an infusion of 16 kilowatt hours. From this, I meandered 84 kilometers along the south coast of Senja to get to the trailhead, at which I found myself ill-equipped to best not only the climb but also the weather. Ashamed, I got back into my car and drove 137 kilometers to the Setermoen Ionity charger to bring the battery from 16 to 100% while adding 66 kilowatt hours. After only 22 kilometers, I stopped at Bardu to do the short hike through the forest to the pretty waterfall. Another 20 kilometers on and another stop, this time at Lapphaugen WW2 Memorial site, before reaching Narvik after another 32 kilometers. To finish the day off, I drove 63 kilometers to Evenes camping to put my tired body to sleep. As always, the driving information can be found on my website www.travelectric.net. Tomorrow I will head deeper into the wilderness of the Ofoten Islands and see whether I can meet up with my nephew and a few of his friends who have been hiking, or should I say growing gills, in the rain for about a week already. Let's see. Thank you again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again on the next leg of our journey. You have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.